What was your reaction when you either saw or touched my fake arm hair for the first time? I think I saw you when you saw it, your eyes went like...
Yeah, I think that the instinct was to be very gentle with it.
Thank you.
Just to not, I'm like, that's artwork. You don't want to mess that up. Yeah, how did you feel? Remind me, what was that like?
It was an hour in the morning to get on, and then about like 30, 40 minutes to take it off at night. But anytime I would cross my arms would like get stuck together. So I was just like kind of like this the whole time.
How would you describe the movie in 3 words?
I would say witty, tender,
Aww.
and needed.
What do you mean by needed?
Well, I think for me, when I first read the script, I just thought, I can't think of many films, teenage kind of coming of age films, that have showed kind of female sexuality and discovery in such a humorous but also very delicate way. I think we've seen the kind of male perspective many times, but not the females. I do have a question for you. So you have been with this film literally since the start. The short film a couple years ago to making the feature. Then we go to South by Southwest, and now finally it's coming out for everyone to see. I guess, what is your feeling and response been that, you know, the film's received wonderful reviews, we won Best Ensemble. How does that make you feel?
It was, you know, really encouraging. I think, yeah, in some ways it's felt like the little film that could. I think the accolades speak very much of Karen. It is needed. I think it is so different from a lot of the stories about females and female sexuality that we've seen, that I was kind of a little nervous that, you know, it might off-put some people, but not more so the fact that I think some of the best art is challenging, and even if people didn't give it great reviews, I think even if it just opens up a conversation and makes people think, was kind of the goal. But yeah, I mean, of course, I hope people like it, and you know, we put some good work into it. So Wolfgang, and in what ways could you relate to your character?
You know, it's funny actually, when I first read the script, Chris instantly made me think of Tim Tebow, actually, you know, the football player. So I spent a lot of time when I was preparing before shooting, using kind of Tim Tebow as a jumping off point and source of inspiration. So I would study a lot of interviews and speeches he had given. Every morning before heading to set, I actually kind of made a playlist of what I thought Chris would listen to as this kind of about Catholic kid in Iowa. So different kind of Christian rock music and even some hymns, and to kind of just put me in the mindset and spirit. So every morning I'd go like on a jog or something, and that would be my playlist.
So your character plays this sort of senior group leader. Do you feel like you're a natural leader type of person?
Now, how do you say this without sounding completely arrogant? Yeah, I enjoy being in leadership roles. You know, I'm the oldest of 7 kids. I was a point guard when I played basketball. I've produced and acted in some plays. So I enjoy kind of being in a place to give other people opportunities to shine. So yeah, I enjoyed that and tried to bring that to Chris.
I will support you in that. I definitely get that energy from you, that you're just someone I think you naturally sort of look to, because somebody who's really going after it, and then also it was like, come with me. So yeah, I will. That's not going too far at all. For me, I think, you know, understanding that there are people watching you, you know, people kind of following your career and watching you, and young people watching you is, you know, maybe it was never inherently my intention going into acting to be, you know, a role model or show people how to be, but I think, you know, when you know there's eyes on you, it kind of makes you check yourself and check in with yourself, you know, be the person that you can stand behind. And I think there's an importance of saying that, you know, I'm not perfect, none of these people are perfect, and they're just people, and, you know, trying to figure it out
for me personally, I didn't grow up acting. I started professionally acting just about 3 years ago now. And now as you start to do, for me, me doing interviews for the first time, people ask, so what attracted you to this project? And I'm like, well, I auditioned for 100 things and this was the one I got. And I took the job because I'm trying to pay my bills. But I think because I'm not, in a position where I'm kind of making choices, I'm just trying to just work and get lucky and hopefully continue to grow. To be a part of a film like this so early on in my career. I just remember being in Austin with everyone and you last year and seeing the response to the film and how proud Karen was and how hard she had worked, that I was like, gosh, I got really lucky. Like, I'm really proud to be part of the movie.
It doesn't always turn out so.
Yeah.
I think I do think there's that thing about, how much power as an actor do you have? Because a lot of times you are just waiting for someone to kind of give you the green light to play pretend with other people. It is something to think about in the future about, like, why am I taking this role? Like, is this story, is the message, the way this is going to be portrayed? And a lot of it's out of your control as an actor, as far as what ends up being actually put on the screen. But it's definitely something to think about and working to promote the right stories and the right voices.
I kind of think, there's very few of those actors that we all, admire that are working, with the best directors in the world or have an opportunity to greenlight a film based on their name. And I think if either of us, are lucky to one day get to that position, then I do think, there's some responsibility to create opportunities that for people that maybe haven't had them, and to try to create an inclusive and diverse environment around you. Yeah, I think if you're lucky enough to get to that place, to whom much is given, much is expected.